And welcome to another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I am your host, Shiro-chan. Today is Saturday, December 28th, 2019. Got a lot of really cool stuff to go over this week, so let's get right down to it, shall we? In Yu-Gi-Oh! News, I got two interesting pieces of information regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. The first is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game is coming to Xbox, PC, and PS4. The world-famous card game Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be arriving on the PC, Xbox, and PS4 sometime in 2020. Based on the hit TV show, which debuted in the early 2000s, the game is based on the idea of battling one another in a very dramatic card game. The monsters themselves come alive and fight each other to the death on the show. The game itself originally came out as a Nintendo exclusive, but will soon be available for all consoles. Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution has received very good reviews from both fans and critics alike. If you're wanting to take a trip down memory lane or just want to get into a good card game, you should definitely give this title a shot. Basically, the game came out as a Nintendo Switch exclusive. The word on the street was that they were not intending on bringing it to any other console but the Nintendo Switch, that they designed it specifically for the Switch to take advantage of the fact that the Nintendo Switch is able to be both a home console and a mobile console. But it looks like the developers have changed their minds and will be bringing the title to the other consoles sometime next year. Also regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, there's a huge update planned. Like most collectible card games, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is constantly adding expansions to its roster for players to choose from. Fortunately, those who picked up the digital version of the popular card game will be able to gain the newest sets for free in an update coming next year. This update will include a large number of cards and bring Link Evolution's total number to over 10,000 available to choose from. In addition to this, players will be able to take on new NPCs from the anime's V-Rain series, including Ai, Revolver, and Soulburner, among many others. It's unclear at the moment if this update will also include any new rule changes, such as the very much rumored Master Rule update, but we will have to wait and see what it all entails closer to release. That's pretty much all I have for Yu-Gi-Oh! News this week. On to the next segment. In Pokemon news, games that define the decade, Pokemon Go proved that evolution and community is the key to greatness. Now, Niantic's promise of Pokemon brought to life via the medium of an augmented reality smartphone app, it seemed too good to be true. While the company's previous mobile game, Ingress, which, by the way, will be getting a sequel sometime soon, turned people's real-world environments into a battle between two factions, could that same energy translate into a nostalgia-fueled Pokemon adventure in the palm of your hand? Early trailers promised Charizards residing amongst cliff tops, Pikachu scampering through picturesque city streets, and at that point it all seemed too good to be true. And for some, it was that, just a pipe dream. You couldn't stumble upon a hyper-realistic Pokemon in its natural habitat. Gyarados couldn't be found leaping out of the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. You didn't have to travel to an electrical power plant to find a Voltorb, and Pidgeotto was found on the ground rather than soaring through the skies. But that didn't stop millions of people playing it in those first early months. And I mean everybody. Kids, parents, grandparents, the miserable bloke who lives a few doors down from you and never says hi as you walk past on a morning. Immediately, the sense of community spirit was incredible, with people taking to the streets, glued to their phones even more than ever, all for the same reason: fictional monsters you can search out and collect. Although that initial surge of popularity dampened, Niantic's dedication to updating and improving the game means that the community passion for Pokemon Go continues to soar, with the game hitting 1 billion downloads downloads earlier this year. Even if half of those are new players, that means approximately 7% of the global population have played Pokemon Go. Now, when the game launched, it arrived with just the original 151 Pokemon, but in the months and years that followed, Niantic has transformed its initial basic gameplay offerings to the behemoth that the game is today. New events and mechanics are introduced frequently. The monthly community days bring back the sense of spirit found during that summer of 2016, and there are now over 600 Pokemon to seek out and catch. Team Rocket has even made a recent appearance, as have much requested features like trading and player versus player battling. All the core mechanics of collecting and catching haven't really changed much over these 2 years, but for the most engaged players, it's a constantly evolving Pokemon paradise found right in their backyards, or at least their local towns, where thriving Pokemon communities lurk in Discord and take over towns on community days. For most, the goal is to simply fill out as much of the Pokédex as possible. But it's this desire stemming from childhood to be the very best, like no one ever was, and catch 'em all, that keeps players returning. And with over 3 generations worth of Pokemon still to be added, and innovations in gameplay arriving frequently, Pokemon Go has a lot to offer for anyone interested in those pesky pocket monsters. Now, those who fell to the wayside shortly after launch will wonder what warrants it being included as a game of the decade. But the answer to that is simple. It's less about how Pokemon Go plays and more to do with what it means. Now, the game is a safe haven for players of any age. It gives people a reason to get out of the house and do more exercise, explore countries they've never visited before in search of rare regional Pokemon, make friends and acquaintances throughout their local community, and so much more. Now, there's a community that will never stop playing Pokemon Go, but not because it's a rich experience with deep elements, but rather because Pokemon Go reminds us that there are still plenty of good people in the world. And for me, it's a crucial way I connect with my friends who live all across the country, especially those that I was very nearest to and who introduced me to Pokemon in the first place. That's pretty much all I have for Pokemon news this week. On to the next segment. In entertainment news, Wonder Woman 1984 tops lists of most anticipated 2020 movies. Wonder Woman is on her way back to theaters, and movie fans can't wait. According to a survey released Friday from movie site Fandango, the most anticipated film of 2020 is Wonder Woman 1984, with Gal Gadot returning as the DC superhero. That film is directed by Patty Jenkins. In fact, the top 4 most anticipated films on Fandango's list all have female directors, a first in the survey's history. Quote, "As we head into the next decade, the new cinematic offerings look promising, with inspiring stories and new definitions of the word hero," end quote, Fandango correspondent Nikki Novak said in a statement. Wonder Woman 1984 is scheduled for a June 5th release, moved from its original December 2019 release date to avoid competing with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Following Wonder Woman are 2 more superhero films, this time from DC competitor Marvel. Black Widow, starring Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff / Black Widow, is directed by Kate Shortland and comes to theaters May 1st. It's followed by Marvel's Eternals, directed by Chloe Zhao and hitting theaters on November 6th. Fourth on the list is the live-action remake of Disney's Mulan, directed by Nikki Caro and scheduled for a March 27th release. Other movies on the most anticipated list include No Time to Die, which is the 25th James Bond film, which just so happens to be introducing a female 007, plus A Quiet Place Part 2, Birds of Prey, In the Heights, Pixar's Soul, and Fast and Furious 9. Gadot and Chris Pine, both in Wonder Woman 1984, are the most anticipated actors. Wonder Woman 1984's villain, Kristen Wiig, as Cheetah, is the most anticipated villain, followed by Rami Malek's Safin from No Time to Die. Also in entertainment news, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker rules Christmas Day box office. Now, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker dominated the box office for the holidays, collecting $32 million just this past Wednesday. Now, that bounty marks the second best Christmas Day showing behind 2015's The Force Awakens. Now, J.J. Abrams' conclusion to the 9-chapter Skywalker saga could earn another $150 million to $155 million through Sunday. That was a Merry Christmas for more than just inhabitants of a galaxy far, far away. A handful of new movies did open this past week, hoping to provide a final box office jolt before the new year. Greta Gerwig's Little Women led the way for fresh offerings, placing third on box office charts and generating $6.42 million on opening day. Sony and New Regency's adaptation of the literary classic is on track to gross a strong $22.5 million during its first 5 days in theaters. Now, the $40 million film, starring Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Timothy Chalamet, Lauren Dern, and Meryl Streep, follows the March sisters as they come of age in America after the Civil War. Another Christmas Day release, A24's Uncut Gems, nabbed fourth place with a solid $5.9 million, the biggest opening day in the studio's history. Now, the suspense thriller, directed by Josh and Benny Safdie and starring Adam Sandler in perhaps one of his best non-comedic roles, made $1.15 million on Christmas Eve. Now, it's expected to bring in a sizable $16.5 million over the extended holiday frame. Disney Fox's Spies in Disguise launched at number 5, pocketing $5 million on Wednesday. The family-friendly animated film should finish the weekend with $26 million. Will Smith and Tom Holland lent their voices to the comedy, set in the world of international espionage. Sony's Jumanji: The Next Level secured second, picking up $12.5 million on Christmas Day. The Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart-led action sequel looks to amass a huge $60 million through Sunday, which could lift domestic ticket sales to $176 million. As award season kicks into high degree, a number of films are launching at the specialty box office. DreamWorks and Universal's 1917, a war epic directed by Sam Mendes, scored $251,262 from 11 theaters in Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and Chicago. Though it's tricky to predict box office fortunes for a limited release, 1917 could make $600,000 over the traditional weekend and $975,000 for the 5-day outing. The action drama follows 2 young British soldiers, played by George Mackay and Dean Charles Chapman, tasked with the dangerous mission of delivering a message that could save hundreds of lives. It debuts nationwide on January 10th. Also, Warner Brothers' legal drama Just Mercy also launched in limited release, bringing in $81,072 from 4 venues. The film, centering on a black man wrongly accused of murder, earned a rare A+ cinema score from audiences. Jamie Foxx, Michael B. Jordan, and Brie Larson star. Elsewhere, Universal's Cats plummeted to 8th place after making $2.1 million on Wednesday. Domestic tallies for the critically reviled musical sit at $11.2 million. That's pretty much all we have for entertainment news this week. And that's pretty much all we have for the entire episode. On to the final thoughts. Before we get to the final thoughts, here's a quick word from some other shows you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Chen.
And I'm James.
We're from A Bloody Mess Podcast, the badly researched true crime podcast.
We straddle the boundaries between documentary and comedy, and our aim is to leave you laughing and thinking, wow, I didn't know that.
So once you're done with this podcast, add us to your download lists and give us a go. Have a nice day.
Bye.
There's been a murder of podcast.
Hello! Do you listen to podcasts? Did you seriously just give me that look? I knew you listened to podcasts, but do you listen to the Bare Naked Ladies? Wait, don't hit fast forward. Yes, there's a band out there called Bare Naked Ladies. They are quirky, fun, comedic, and excellent musicians. If you love alternative 90s music with a little jazz, rap, and country mixed in at different times, then you've got to try this band out. And we will lead you through a journey of getting to love this band. We have 3 or 4 people with different levels of bare naked experience. We have Aaron, who's our music expert that breaks down each song. We will try to be informative, but also, we're all friends, so we like to have as much fun as possible. If you are a moderate fan of BNL, then you'll find new experiences and information. If you're a BNL fanatic like me, then I bet you too will find a song that is a deep dive that you never knew of. We sometimes have guests after the first letter. Oh, did I not mention that? We are Bare Naked ABCs, and the ABCs represents that we discuss the songs alphabetically. So come try us out on all platforms where podcasts are downloaded. Bare Naked ABCs. And no, we are not nude during the recordings.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs.
Hello, future listeners. We are Historical AF. I'm Ashley.
I'm Keena.
And I'm Natalie.
We are 2 librarians and a historian bringing the funny, weird, spooky, and morbid historical nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes every Sunday.
And once a month, we bring you extra AF episodes full of your stories and history in the news.
And we do this while hitting the giggle water and gracing the world with our foul mouths and wit.
So if you love to laugh and you like history, true crime, and the paranormal, then we are the podcast for you, and your girls can't wait for you to join us.
You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For a full list of ways to listen, go to historicalafpodcast.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can check out the photos that accompany each episode.
Yeah, bye. We'll see you soon. I don't know. That'll probably scare them away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come to us.
Come to the dark side. We have vodka.
And cookies.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Well, here we are at the end of yet another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I hope you have been enjoying the show and have been both informed and entertained. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to see covered in a future episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste, there are several ways you can contact me. You can contact me through email. The email is hazardousverbal@gmail.com. You can go to the website, hazardousverbal.com. Go to the Contact Us page. There are links to my social media accounts as well as a contact form that you can fill out to get your comments or suggestions to me. You can also drop me a voice message through Skype. The Skype ID is Ichimoto1. If you send me a voice message this way, I will make sure to play it on a future episode. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this week. I did want to let you guys know that I have a special video up on YouTube, basically doing a deck profile of the Gravekeepers deck that I took to the regionals in Seattle last week. I also wanted to let you guys know that I am still streaming on Twitch. I believe I added a Twitch channel page to my website. You can also just search me, Macromaster 2015, and watch my streams. I stream mostly World of Warcraft and Hearthstone, although I will hopefully be able to start streaming some other games soon, especially Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution once it comes to PC, if I don't get a streaming device by then. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for this week. Until next time, this is Shiro Chan signing off. Peace.